free education and healthcare, free healthcare was two policies that have been there in Sri Lanka for a long period of time, which have given immense contribution to the society. And it had been very important as we had a population over 55% even by 1970s working in rural farming. And this healthcare system and education had inspired by many rulers, leaders in the past, from W.W. Kannangara, D.S. Senanayaka, the founders of UNP had recognized these as required in a state where national policy should look after the poor and give certain equal opportunities for benefiting the society. But by large, it have come a little difficult for the government in the recent past due to macroeconomic policies have not taken so in charge of these two areas. I see when I go, I've been living 30 years out of the country. When you see the countries where we work, healthcare and education is daily changing for improvement and growth. When we go in Sri Lanka, we find it healthcare system of the state is deteriorating, and also they promote more the private healthcare system, and it had been a very commercialized marketing product to many. And I found there are mafias built in healthcare system, which organized crime, I could say, in certain aspects of how they sell medicine and encourage people to do surgeries, and hospitals had been made so important, developing certain consensus to have a market for healthcare, private healthcare system. It is the same with the education system. When you take it, the state education had been deprived in many ways from people. If you go back from 1990s to now, many schools in rural areas had been closed. In 1970, late 1970s, I remember the new education reform which brought two-tier education policy, rural schools and central school policies have made this education structure which have become very obsolete idea, because the reason the rural schools students do not opt to continue studies, and school leavers have been very high. Same time, teachers don't want to be teaching in those schools. They opt to work in central schools, and therefore the reason given in central bank reports most of the time why the schools were closed is there were not enough teachers to teach in those schools. But actually speaking, it was not the reason. If you go back to in certain chapters, you always see we have a big ratio, good ratio, students to teachers ratio. It is 14 students, every 14 students we pay for a teacher, which is quite high. But at the same time, I would also say the salaries what we were paying some time back was not reasonable to teachers. So teachers were opting to go for tuition, and their more concentration was tuition than teaching in the class, school time. So the whole organization of education had been disorganized since 1970s because the parties which are responsible, the stakeholders of improving the education was not motivated. And I saw it, on one of the vacations about 2 years back. Top professors, doctors, university teachers, school teachers marching on the streets asking for wage hike, which is very sad to see. At the same time, you would see some of the professors had been nominated to be advisors of certain ministers, president, prime ministers. They are highly paid, but they are the very same people who have become somebody, also like the other professors from the free education system, and who have become close to ministers, who also became ministers and specialists in running the country by going through the free education system. They get together to destroy the free education system which they benefited in. Why don't you leave this education system to others also to benefit? Now look at it, the private sector education, international schools concept. Me too, I am a social entrepreneur who started as a concept of social entrepreneur. I started a school in Doha for children. But I see these children have no future, most of them, because parents are incapable of giving them higher education after leaving school. Because parents don't realize till that time comes, because they were looking at only the school fees in the beginning when the child was taken to an international school. But they didn't know after international school they are deprived from our free education university system. So they have to look for some other education institutes, or if you take universities, education fees have been out of scope for many of these parents. So end up with false promises given to children. But the situation is so precarious. The reason we have come to a very commercial society. Since 1970s, the systems change. We were going for globalizing the country, which is good, but take it advantage over good norms and policies that other countries do, and also be in the network of international, but take the advantage over it to countries like us. But what has happened is we have sacrificed many good values and the spirit of the country by globalizing and taking values of these international school policies. So we have to understand our education system in the past, 1960s, 1950s, who qualified with our education system were recognized in even United Nations, even in big institutions around the world. High-ranking positions had been taken by our Sri Lankans. If you take it in Middle East, Korea, a lot of these countries have highly educated people working in good positions, coming through this national education grid. So why we should destroy that? If we were invited and we were positioned in the world jargon, why we are taking this education into a right to deprive from most of the people? This is not correct. We should secure free education system. There is just a change for the sake of change and trying. You can try anything, but not on education. When you do something in education, you should understand whose benefit that you have started the education. It is not a marketable product. It should be a social essential for people. So we must take it in this spirit. I have a mixed feeling about this government. I don't say if D.S. Senanayake have accepted as a founder of the party, and in 1950s this is an important thing, the education and the healthcare. Why should the present party present time leaders should not accept those. But probably we have a bankrupt situation. Bankruptcy is not because of taxpayer. It is not the responsibility of the poor. The poor born